Am I the a-hole for canceling the entire vacation? When I found out that my stepdaughters deliberately hid my daughter's passport to get her to stay home? I've been married to my wife Beth for 5 years. I have a bio daughter named Jessica, she's 18. And I also have two stepdaughters named Monica and Leah. They're 25 and 28. Both are single moms and live with us currently. There's been issues about my stepdaughters asking my daughter to babysit the kids. Jessica didn't have a problem with it at first since this is what she does to earn money. But since her stepsisters don't pay her much, she just refused to babysit. We worked this out by having my wife take care of paying for the babysitting. I planned a family vacation for 3 days and everyone wanted to go. However, both Monica and Leah suggested that Jessica stay home and watch the kids since Beth doesn't want her grandkids to come. They said it's because the kids are used to Jessica and hiring another babysitter would cause issues. And also said that Jessica isn't too fond of our destination, but it was obvious that Jessica wanted to go. They insisted and Beth offered to pay her double, and there was just a lot of back and forth on this till I demanded they stop bringing it up. We were supposed to go last week, but when everybody had bagged their bags and it was time to go, Jessica found out that she didn't have her passport on her. We searched her bag, then went home and searched there. Beth and my stepdaughters kept insisting that we go back to the airport or else we'd miss our flight. They insisted that Jessica stay at home with the kids. They even told the new babysitter to go home because she was no longer needed. I refused to go and kept searching for the passport till Monica admitted that she helped Leah hide Jessica's passport to get her to stay home with the kids. I was livid. I tried to get her to tell me where it was, but she said Leah had it. Leah denied, so I threatened to cancel the vacation. That's when they gave it back. I decided to actually cancel the vacation and blew up at both of them and berated them. They stayed upstairs for a while, and Beth refused to speak to me and said that I punished my stepdaughters for worrying about their kids and wanting them to stay with someone they know. I got told I overreacted and ruined the trip for everybody. Editing to mention that kicking my stepdaughters out isn't possible since my wife co-owns the house that we currently live in. Am I the a-hole for not forcing my son to rename his hamster? So to start this off, my son is 11 and has been begging for a family pet for a while. I finally gave in when I felt we were ready to take one on, and also when I felt he was ready for the responsibility that comes with one. I expected a dog or cat, but he really wanted a hamster. So we spent a little over a week prepping, helping him study hamster care, and dedicated a sizable spot in our living room for necessities. And home. We finally get around to picking one out at the pet shop. He set on the name Sonic, but the lady ringing us up mentioned the one he picked out was a girl, and that she could get him a boy if he wanted, and he just lit up and said that's Amy. And that was that. We took Amy home. This was in March. My sister-in-law found out she was pregnant somewhere around that time, and last month they found out they were having a girl. Basically, what happened was, they were picking out names, and one of the names they narrowed it down to had Amy as the middle name. I made a joke of something like, hey, we already have an Amy at our house, trying to be funny, but sister-in-law didn't think it was. I didn't think much about it at the time, but a couple of days ago she asked to come by to talk. She started off by saying the joke I made was in bad taste. I apologized for it, and then she suggested I change the name. I told her I didn't think that would go over well with my son, and then she outright demanded it be changed, whether he likes it or not, because she wasn't going to have a child share the name with a hamster. I agreed to talk it over with my son to see what he thought, and of course he didn't want to. He even thought it was cool that his cousin would share her name with his hamster. I tried convincing him to rename her Sonic even, or some other Sonic character, but he didn't want that. I explained how sister-in-law feels about this, and he felt a bit hurt because he thought he upset sister-in-law. But he really didn't want to change the name and didn't understand why they couldn't just share it. I told sister-in-law that my son was set on Amy, and she blew up. I'll admit I got a bit defensive and reacted poorly, but I essentially told her it wasn't a huge deal. It's not like anyone is going to make the connection, and by the time her child is old enough to know her name, Amy the hamster likely won't be around. She claimed it was embarrassing because she would always know the connection in her mind, to which I simply told her if it was such a strong reminder of a hamster, then maybe it wasn't a name she should use for her daughter. My brother has told me that I am being selfish for not forcing my son to pick another name. SIL obviously thinks I'm the a-hole, and my mom has said the whole thing is childish. So am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for not allowing my daughter's half-sister to spend Christmas with us? My ex-husband and I got divorced 7 years ago. We share custody of our 13-year-old daughter. He got married and has a 5-year-old daughter with his now wife. His daughter would spend time with my daughter regularly. They adore each other, but she doesn't come to my house and they rarely meet up there. His wife has been diagnosed with cancer and has started treatment recently. The other day he came to drop our daughter off and asked to speak to me. He talked about his wife's circumstances, then how his family won't be able to have a Christmas celebration this year. He said it wasn't fair for his daughter, and asked if I could include her in my family's celebration. He pointed out how the girls will have a great time together bonding and making memories. But I said I was sorry, but my family's traditional celebration is a sacred thing, and I do not feel comfortable including anyone else. Plus, it'd be awkward having her in my home. He said that his daughter may not be family to me, but she sure is to her half-sister. He asked me to stop and think about what's best for the kids here. I suggested he take his daughter to spend Christmas with her grandparents. He said his parents and him RNC and tried to cut the conversation short. But he stopped me and started going on about how cruel it was for me to decline to include his daughter, who's already having a hard time adjusting. I saw that he was beginning to cry, so I stepped back and said I was no longer feeling comfortable having this conversation. I asked him to leave, and he did, but still texted me, asking me to agree to let his daughter come spend Christmas, even offered that he stays away if that'll make me less uncomfortable. I said no, and now he's calling me selfish and unfeeling. AITA for refusing to forgive a debt that will cost my sister a house? My mother died about 2 months ago. She didn't leave behind much other than a paid-for house worth about $180,000 and a little money in the bank. Mom announced a couple of years ago that she intended to leave her house to my sister Sarah, who takes care of her severely disabled son full-time. Mom said that she wanted to make sure they had a roof over their heads and the rest of her kids could make it on their own. Sarah does struggle a lot and has said many times that she wouldn't have been able to make it without Mom. When Mom died, she had some bills outstanding, but her biggest debt was that she owed me $37,000. I had loaned her the money so that she could fix her plumbing and septic system, as well as making the house more handicapped-friendly for Sarah and Jeremy. Mom had been paying me back every month. I have paperwork proving the money is owed. Here is the problem. If I file a claim against her estate like any other creditor would do, my brother John, Mom's executor, will have no choice but to pay it. But to do so, he will have to sell the house since there isn't money in the estate to pay it any other way. Which means that Sarah and Jeremy will have to find a different place to live. I know Mom wanted Sarah to have the house. There is also the issue that Mom's will said Sarah got the house, but any money in the estate would be split evenly between the other 4 of us. So technically we think that means Sarah wouldn't actually get anything. John is talking to a lawyer to make sure he is reading that right. Sarah is also concerned that if she did get a large amount of money, John and I have both said we would give her whatever we got from the house if it does get sold, that it could interfere with the help she gets from the government. John and Sarah are both pushing me to not file a claim against the estate, but if I don't, then the loan basically goes away. Sarah has said that she will pay it back to me and would even sign a new loan. The trouble is that I don't believe her. She has borrowed money before and never paid it back, not because she doesn't want to, but because she can't afford to. She struggled with money living with Mom, so it is going to be even worse for her, without Mom paying bills in the house as well. If I don't file a claim, I will be out $37,000, and that is far more than I want to hand over as a gift, even to my sister. I've told John and Sarah that I am officially filing a claim on Monday morning. They are both calling me a greedy asshole and telling me that I am ignoring what Mom wanted. I think it's unreasonable to expect me to just forget $37,000. Am I the whole? Update. I officially submitted the paperwork to John to get payment for the debt. However, I decided that would forgive 1/4 of the debt. So instead of claiming $37,000, I am claiming $27,750. I told my siblings that I would forgive 1/4, and if keeping the house for Sarah is important to them, then they each need to come up with the same. So far they are saying they will not contribute. John and I spoke with the lawyer, and we were wrong about how any cash from the sale of the house would be dispersed. First, any liquid assets have to be used to cover debts. Then if assets need to be liquidated, then whoever was supposed to get that asset gets whatever proceeds are left after paying debts. So no matter what my siblings do, Sarah will get the rest of the money if the house is sold. The lawyer also pointed out the same thing many people here did, that giving Sarah the money could affect her benefits. Instead, he suggested she turn down the inheritance in favor of placing the money into a special needs trust for her son. Sarah will be talking to the lawyer on her options and exactly what that means. Sarah is attempting to get a loan using the house as collateral. Not all the paperwork is in order yet. Exactly how much will be left in the estate after all debts are paid, and we are probably looking at needing to get a professional appraisal of the home first. One person at the bank talked to her and said that with her credit score and income she doubts she would be approved, but that she would process the application. Once Sarah got all the data,